Hi, I'm Peter Asapahu, PGA professional here in Los Angeles, and thank you so much for coming back to join me on my journey as I try to become a plus golfer. The important thing about becoming a better player or becoming better at anything is being able to track your progress, and that starts with getting some baseline numbers. The two pieces of technology that I'm going to be using to determine some baselines are TrackMan and KVest. So TrackMan is a launch monitor and it tracks the flight of the golf ball and your club through the impact area. And I'm going to be using that today to determine my carry distances, so how far my ball is going on the fly. The second thing that I'm going to be using is KVest. KVest is a 3D swing data capturing sensor. It's actually got four sensors, one on your pelvis, one on your upper thoracic spine, one on your upper arm, and one on your hand. It uses those four data points to tell you how your body is moving through the swing. So let's jump into my TrackMan baseline carry distances. The way that I got these numbers were I hit 10 shots with each club and I got rid of my best shot and my two worst shots. Also, if I hit any really bad shots, I deleted those as well. What we're really looking for is a good average, not like I hit this shot one time 175 yards. That's what my 8-iron's doing. What I really want is to see what I'm doing most of the time. So I took those 7 shots and I took the average of them, and that's how I got these numbers. The first thing that stands out to me is how far I'm actually hitting these irons. Comparing them to PGA Tour averages, I'm not hitting them far enough, especially if I'm going to be trying to qualify for the US Open in 2023. I've got to be able to hit the ball further so that way I can have less club into the greens and give myself a chance to shoot better scores and go low. The next thing that really stands out to me are the differences in my carry distances from club to club. Some of them are 9 yards different, some of them are 15 yards different. And what that tells me is that I'm not hitting the ball square enough in the center of the face. If you miss the ball a little bit on the toe or on the heel, that really saps some of that ball speed that you would get from hitting it out of that sweet spot. So from my baseline numbers, what I'm really going to be looking at in this next year as I'm improving is being able to hit the ball more out of the center of the club face and picking up some club head speed. I really do have to be able to hit it further. So I'm going to be doing a lot of speed training to try to get those numbers up and a little bit more towards that PGA Tour average or even further than that. So those are my TrackMan baseline numbers. And let's go ahead and take a look at my KVest numbers. The first thing that we're really looking at is the speed creation is really good, but the consistency can use a little bit of work. Moving on to the swing characteristics, we see that I'm showing a major issue with C posture. Now, we found out that that swing sensor on my upper back started sliding up on the vest and was getting a misread there. So I'm not too concerned about that C posture, but I am concerned about the major issue in my pelvis spin in the backswing and at impact. The reverse spine angle there, having a minor issue, also concerns me a little bit, but I think that comes from my pelvis spin in the backswing. So let's take a look at these positional averages. It's going to put some numbers to my swing characteristics. The forward bend portion here in my upper body at address and impact, once again, we're going to kind of glance over that because of that issue with the sensor on my thoracic spine. But the two numbers that stand out here at the top are my rotation for the pelvis and my rotation in my upper body. I'm getting 60 degrees of rotation in the pelvis, which is almost 10 degrees more than the maximum range for a pro. And I'm getting about 20 degrees more in the maximum range for my upper body rotation. And having a big turn there is fine, but it also causes some inconsistency because that's more space for me to cover to get back to impact. It gives me more time to generate some power, but it also will lead to some inconsistency. The next big number that we see in red here is my pelvis side bend at impact. It's only about half as much as you'd see at the low end of the pro range. And what that typically means is that my body is not tilting in the right way there at impact. We can see that from my TrackMan numbers being a little low. Typically what we see here at impact, the right side of your pelvis drops a little bit lower than your left side. And the left side raises up because you start straightening out that left leg at impact. And you brace yourself to let the rest of the club catch up and sling past you. So that's a point of issue for me, that I'm not generating enough of that pelvis side bend at impact because I'm not bracing and generating the speed there down at the golf ball. So that's something that I'm going to really be looking at as I try to improve my swing speed. So taking a look at these consistency numbers, we can really see that that pelvis rotation and the upper body rotation is a big cause of my inconsistency. The lower numbers here are my more consistent numbers, but the pelvis rotation and the upper body rotation tend to be the largest inconsistent numbers that K-Vest is picking up. So I'll be focusing on those issues as I try to improve my swing. So we've got a lot of other really cool features and numbers that we're getting out of our K-Vest, but I'm gonna try to just glance over that a little bit right now, as we've determined a couple of really big factors in what's hindering my swing and my consistency. And we'll be taking a look at my swing next to really see these numbers in action. So here's a couple of my swings from when I was doing the TrackMan baseline. All right, so let's take a look at my swing a little bit. This was from my TrackMan baseline when I was hitting a 7-iron. So the first thing that we're going to look at for the K-Vest numbers were the C posture at address. And it doesn't really have a C posture there. What happened was that sensor moved from there up to about there on my back, and as it did that, it started sensing that I was more bent over at the top there than I really was. But the big thing that we are going to look at is the pelvis spin in the backswing and at impact. So there's major issues there with me being too rotated open at the top of the backswing, and then having a little issues down at impact. So let's take a look at the backswing. The first thing that we're going to see here is that the top of that swing gets very long. So you can probably see it here. I wish I had taken a video from the face-on angle, but you can probably see that my chest is more or less at the target right around here. So I've probably gone about 90 degrees with the chest, about 60 degrees already with my pelvis. The pelvis kind of stays there. The chest continues to rotate, and that club gets across the line just because of how far I've rotated back. Now, the issue with that over rotation is that I have to get my arms and club back out in front of me, and I have to rotate hard with my chest just to make it back into a good impact position. And I've gotten really good at that because it's just a really bad habit that I've always had, and I get back down here into this impact position, which is pretty good. I'm pretty open at impact, but it takes a lot of hard work for me to get there. And a lot of that rotational work takes away from some of the speed that I could be getting from the ground. So I don't have enough of that side bend in my pelvis at impact. And you can see it here at impact, my hips are pretty level, and you can see that the left leg there is bent. We see a lot of bend in that leg here at impact, and it doesn't really straighten up till right around there, so well past impact. So I'm losing a little bit of speed from the kinetic chain by not being able to straighten that leg and post and brace on the left side. And a lot of that comes from how far back I've rotated here at the top of my backswing. So we've got a lot of stuff to work on, and let's kind of talk a little bit about what I need to be doing. So now that we've seen my baseline numbers for TrackMan and KVS, we know what I need to be doing to improve. The first being that I need to have higher carry distances. So that means swinging a little bit faster and being able to hit the ball more out of the center of the face. And the second thing is that I have to control the length of my backswing, so that way I have a better structure at the top and I'm not over swinging, and that'll give me a better opportunity to make good contact with the ball down at impact. The way that I'm going to be doing this is I'll be going to the gym and making a little bit more concerted effort to be more golf specific for some workouts, so that way I can have a stronger structure at the top of my backswing and be able to brace a little better at the bottom down at impact. I'll also be doing some speed training with something like Super Speed or another product similar to that. And the last thing will just be really doing some drills to help me hit the ball more out of the center of the face. So thank you for watching, and like and subscribe this video so that way you can follow along and see how I improve. Hopefully this helps you out and you can learn how to make improvements by knowing where you're at, and so you can play your best game.